Good afternoon, guys. It is May 11th, 2020. In this video here, I want to talk about something that really has kind of gotten very frustrating in some regards. I want to talk about um, the way I see um, the importance of listening to older people. Like, the baby boomers and all the older people that have been through a lot, like several decades and everything. I just want to talk about that because during this crisis right now, um, I want you to know that you really, if you're younger and haven't been through the Great Depression, World War II, World War I, all that stuff, if you haven't been through that, then you really have no idea what a true hardship is. And I understand that there are things that are difficult. You lose jobs, you can, lose homes, lose things like that. I get that. But in terms of like true hardship, you really have no idea. I mean, this is exactly why I have no patience with people who don't respect the older people, don't listen to older people, want to argue with older people, don't want to listen to their advice. I'm sorry, I have zero sympathy for that. None whatsoever. So, I want you to really think about it, people, and especially people who are in their 20s and 30s and even 40s. I want you people to listen to these older people who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Listen to them. I saw a news interview of a guy who was actually 102 or 103 years old. And he apparently went through the Great Depression as an adult, like the whole thing. And he just said, well, what's going on now? Yes, it's bad, but it's nothing close to what I experienced in the world wars and all that stuff. People, please listen to these people. Listen to them. Listen to what they have to say. I understand if you have an opinion, but listen to these older people who have been through a whole lot more than you have. I'm only 20, I'm turning 21. Okay? I haven't been through a whole lot, really. I mean, in terms of like just hardship and stuff like that. I mean, I've been through some stuff, but not even close to what some of these older people have been through. You know, so really respect the elderly people. I'm serious. You know, people kind of say, oh, that what they talk about is just old stuff from the past and doesn't really apply to me, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm here to tell you that it definitely applies to you. Listen to them. Guys, you do not know what could happen. And I'm not trying to scare people, but you really do not know what could happen. And I don't want us to be worried or panicked about it, but I want us to really be open-minded to those who have been through really, really rough times. Because if, for whatever reason, something goes incredibly wrong and we have to live a certain way, their wisdom is going to really benefit you. Think about it. Think about it. If you had to grow your own food, and you don't know how to grow your own food, and you're not willing to listen to your grandmother or your grandfather or whoever, and they're trying to talk to you about what they did back in the day, I am sorry. I have absolutely no patience with that at all. Things have become so easy for Americans. And I do not wish on hardship on anyone. I do not want people to suffer or go through things. But I am a Christian, and I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a Christian. And from a Christian standpoint, you know, we have to trust that God is going to take care of us. But God also calls us to be wise and to be smart. Bible says, in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. A foolish man devours all he has and does not save anything. This is extremely important. If you think about it, would you rather have stuff stored up and ready to go, or not be prepared at all, and then something hit and you're not prepared at all? You know, everybody laughs at preppers, but guys, seriously, I don't consider myself a prepper, but I grew up in a household where my mom has always had a stocked freezer, always had a stocked pantry, like totally full. We have never had like one empty shelf of food storage ever that I can ever recall. And we try to grow a lot of our vegetables. And it just comes down to people, you need to really think about some of this stuff. Life's not always gonna be, rainbows, butterflies, and roses. It's just not. Um, do I want a catastrophe? Absolutely not. Nobody wants a catastrophe. But do I think that we need to be open-minded and aware of the fact that should something occur, that we need to be ready? Yes, 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 absolutely. So, you really need to think about it. I have been through some tough times. The last recession of 2008 hit our household pretty hard, and it was not the easiest. I went through a major ice storm that hit several states, including the state of Kentucky where I live. We lost electricity for 9 days. Let's think about that. 9 days of no lights, no heat, no oven, no stove, no microwave, no refrigerator. Think about that. Anything and everything that uses electricity is gone when you lose electricity. And yes, I mean, everybody experiences power outages sometimes, but sometimes they can be long term. And when we went through that, I mean, our house got down to 40 degrees. But we did the best we could. You know, if you have a wood burning fireplace, use that. Um, get oil lamps. I did a video on an oil lamp that we have. We have several in our house. Those are our emergency lights. Okay? Those are really cheap, really easy to use. The fuel is cheap and easy. Everything like that. Okay? So, I just want you to really think about some of this and listen to these older people. You know, really, really, really listen and pay attention. Because one day, your grandma's stories may benefit you. My grandmother has told me a bunch of stories of her growing up. And she was born in 1935. And she's still around today. Don't know how much longer, but she's still around. And she's been telling me about stuff like this. I mean, this is really. I'm not saying that this stuff is going to happen. We do not know. Only God knows the future. But I am saying that we need to really take this wisdom and these opportunities to learn from these people while they're still here. And if they're talking to you about this stuff, you better listen. You better listen. Because one day you may need that information and you're going to be sorry that you didn't listen. So, you know, just really, really be wise. Don't just wander off and say, oh, well, life is always just going to be good. You know, people, you do not know what could happen. You know, did I expect this pandemic in 2019, like during Christmas? No, I didn't. Didn't. Never thought of it. Wasn't even aware that there was a virus outbreak yet. So, you know, this is the kind of stuff, like, if you're, like, totally unprepared, you know, financially or whatever, you know, I understand there are certain circumstances, but really, guys, you need to do the best you can with what you have and really pay attention. And, yeah, it's really important, guys. Very, very important that you listen to older people who have been through so much. You have no idea what they went through. Okay? The people who went through the Great Depression and things like that, they had to grow all of their food. All of it. They couldn't go to the grocery store. They couldn't go, you know, down the street to Walmart or to Kroger or to wherever and pick up groceries. They couldn't. They had to milk their own cows. They had to grow their own vegetables and their own fruits, and they ate what was in season and didn't eat what they felt like. Guys, Americans are so spoiled right now. I hear a lot of people complaining like, well, I have to eat this food, or I have to do this, or I have to do that, or... Guys, I have absolutely no patience with that whatsoever. I understand that, if you can get what you want, and you can afford it, and it's available, and stuff, go right ahead. I have nothing against that. But if times are rough and you don't have the money, or the supply chain goes down and you can't get it, I am sorry. You have got to get a grip and really face reality that you need food to survive. You know, that is why we eat, is to live. So, you know, I thought about it also. I saw in the grocery store, back when the pandemic was like really, really, really ramped up. I saw that, the bread aisles were like cleaned out, and then the flour and the sugar and all that was fully stocked. I'm like, do people not know how to make bread? I mean, I'm not trying to judge you if you don't. I understand if you don't, but learn how to make these things. Learn how to do things yourself. Learn how to fix things yourself. You know, at the peak of the pandemic, I mean, we rent this house, and, if we had small issues or something, we didn't just, call the landlord and say, hey, can you, like, replace this little bolt on this toilet? We went ahead and just did it ourselves. I mean, because we don't want to put him at risk of coming into contact with us when we're supposed to be social distancing. So guys, really learn how to do things. Learn how to do basic things. Learn how to cook. Learn how to grow your own food. Learn these things. Look it up. I'm telling you, it is very, very, very important. Very. I cannot stress that enough. Because, you know, I don't have to rely on growing my own food or anything right now. I don't have to do anything right now. But if I tried to practice and learn and do these things now, while things are easy, then if a time comes where it's really, really hard and I have to do that, I know what to do. So really do your research and make sure that you understand things. I know this is talking about respecting older people, but this is part of why you need to listen to older people, because they went through stuff. They didn't have iPhones and internet and um, Amazon and, you know, loaves of bread in the stores and canned food in the stores. They didn't have any of that. A lot of them had to grow all their own food, make their own bread, make their own stuff. And, if there were grocery stores, all that they had was like fruits and vegetables and meat, and that was pretty much it. They didn't have boxed cake mix. They made it from scratch. They didn't have, you know, they had their own chickens to get eggs. They had all this stuff that we have so lost in our culture now. I mean, our society would lose their minds if some of that stuff stopped. So really try to think about it. I'm not trying to scare people at all, but I'm really trying to just let you know why. Let you know why it is so important to listen to the elderly people. Because they have done stuff that a lot of people don't know how to do nowadays. In the current generations. Not really. So if you have grandparents or elderly parents or something like that who have been through those times, like in the 1930s and the World War One and the World War Two and all that, if you have people like that still around, please listen to them while they're still here. Because, they're probably not going to be around too much longer, I would imagine. And bottom line is, you don't know what could happen. I mean, you really don't. So, just, just pay them some respect. I mean, they've gone through so much. And I'm sure they would love to tell you about stuff. Not to scare you, not to bore you, but just to help you, you know? So, yeah. So anyway, that's my little rant. Yeah. Like I said, really important, guys. Anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.